20,000? Okay. That's sick. I love that. Honestly, I just need to actually be consistent and continue to put follow-ups, and I can actually maybe start something with this. I guess the first step would be uploading the VOD. Let me just go get that real quick. Oh. Lyron? What? Where's the VOD? Goes right there. See, I made the assets folder for the editor. You were supposed to save the VOD of the stream. Dude, I'm gonna. Oh, really? Yes. So go get the VOD. Okay, I will. I see the problem. Oh, do ya? Yeah, I thought Twitch saved the VODs automatically. If people are just wondering about what I got my 300-ish pulls, it was E0 Sparkle, E3 Archer, S0 Light Cone, and E0 Saber, with a couple of lost coin flips to Bailu and Fushuan on the way. As the amount of pulls you do grows larger and larger, you'll naturally go closer and closer to the average possible. That's just how statistics work. So because of that, I don't tend to find these large group pulls that exciting. Unless something absurd happens, which this time it didn't. Oh well. Still, I was planning on uploading that VOD anyway as my initial filler video, hence the weird gap between these two. I do have something special for you all though. Here, I'll be discussing the Belobog campaign directly with my players, as well as bits of teasers for the next one. You already got to hear them voice act their own characters for a bit in the video, but now you'll get to hear them directly talk about their opinions of the campaign. Hope you enjoy!
So remind me what part we're doing here again.
So, basically, we're just having like a retrospective talking about the first campaign of Belobog and sort of what's everyone's thoughts on it. So if people have initial thoughts that we can just start off with, we can do that. If not, I have a list of questions here that we can go down. Just whatever you all feel is appropriate. Okay. Now if you want to say something. Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Dude, you can't say that.
Dude, holy shit, bro.
I got the Burger King crown on. Talking like Gleb.
Alright, and I should note, I accidentally blindsided a couple of my viewers because I did not realize that 2E is a separate purchase from 1E. So some people really excited to play the game bought 1E when it came out, and obviously they got the versions after it, like Beta 2E and stuff. And then it was announced that full 2E would be a separate purchase, and then I was like, oh no! And I added a note of that in the description now, but like I figure I should really mention it in a video, because...
Yeah, oh, that's rough.
Yeah. My intention was not... I lie about a lot of things in that video, for the sake of making the campaign either more fun or like tricking people to enjoy something that they like, and I would trick people to get invested in the story before I say, oh, this isn't actually the popular TTRPG that you know.
Yeah.
But I will say, getting people to buy the game twice, that was not my intention. That was not on purpose. Now, if you do that, you're awesome, but also I completely understand if you're mad, because that was a complete mistake. I had no idea that would happen. I should have double-checked the payment method and, like, realized that announcement had happened before the video came up. At least I think it did. Because obviously it is a very important thing to know. In fact, I'll even put it towards the beginning, just to make absolutely sure. Speaking of funny bits that we can do towards the beginning of the video, I think it's very funny that the second video that I release is a bunch of white guys in their 20-somethings doing something resembling a podcast format. Because I feel like if we have to do at least one of these, or else we're gonna like die. Like it's
we need to do a podcast, guys.
It's in our bones. It's in our it's in our lack of melanin.
You like how birds like inherently know to migrate south.
Yeah, so I really wanted to do a video like this, so... Because I feel like a lot of why I made the initial video was because I feel like people who do these sort of D&D storytime things for tabletop RPGs, they often come from the perspective of the players, and not often from the GM. And usually, if a GM is telling a story, it's usually because there's like a larger point to it to like another video that they're making. Like, rather than making a video titled like, oh, I hosted a Star Rail RPG, I would make something like, you don't have to tell your players absolutely everything, or like the benefits of like keeping secrets hidden, and then I would tell the story as a means of teaching that lesson, as opposed to luring in people with the story initially, and then that's kind of the lesson that people might take out of it.
Yeah. No, I really like what you did. I really, I really like how you formatted the video. I think it was, starting with the hosting part was really nice, I think, because it got a group towards this specific, like, subject, and I think that ended up drawing people into who might not normally be interested in tabletops, who might not normally be interested in smaller ones like Panic, who might not be interested in all these different things that you were talking about, and you use that to like draw them into it and interest them. And I think that was a really cool way you got that involved.
Yeah, because that sort of format itself necessarily isn't new. It's more that when people tell the RPG stories like that, they tend to come from the player's perspective. So yeah. I feel like making a video that has that same format but also has peeks behind the GM's curtain constantly, I think was really fun.
Yeah, no, I think it was really cool to see it from a GM's perspective, because I mean, this isn't the exact same, but as someone who hasn't played Honkai Star Rail, seeing how you talked about how our game differed from the like regular campaign and story, that was really cool to see that like difference. Like what did you change and when did you alter? What did we end up kind of throwing off the rails? That kind of stuff was really cool. I always like seeing stuff from a more like design perspective and see how that affects like what the designers are doing anyways. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, that was definitely what I noticed from it too, was being able to see the differences between the story of the like canon game that you had versus what ended up happening. It really answered some things about like who the hell Geopard and Sergal were.
Serval, yeah, Geopard and Serval.
Yeah. Wow, you can tell how many furries I hang out with. But yeah, no, I really liked being able to see the difference there. It was a really cool behind the scenes, because we had that first aha moment of realizing like, oh, this is all based off of a pre-existing game. And then I kind of had a second one as you talked about what the game was and like what happened in it, since I'd never played it before.
Yeah. And that actually leads into one of my questions, which is, did you all ever suspect that the plot was taken from something else?
So I know you, and I was certain that there were a ton of references and maybe characters taken whole cloth from like JoJo or whatever, but I didn't at any point really suspect that the entire thing was the plot of something else. I thought it was, going into it, I totally thought it was like, and maybe at most an amalgam of things, but for the most part just like made up on the spot original.
Yeah, because
oh yeah, sorry, go on.
No, you can go first.
I was just gonna say, yeah, no, I know you take a lot of inspiration from like anime and stuff like that, and so I could kind of envision that in what you were creating. But yeah, no, it did seem like it seemed like it was a setting of your own design, the way you described it. I think, specifically during our session 0, I think you did a really good job at like, you explained the setting in a way that made it feel like a campaign setting, and so it was like the way you went into these like different paths and factions, and like the goal and like the group we were a part of, it really felt like specifically a campaign, and it felt like we had like these stepping stones and these starting pieces kind of similar to like someone who's just starting to build a world from the ground up. But I think that was actually just on your part a really good way of introducing this big like sprawling world into like just a contained like campaign.
Yeah, I think part of me was lucky for choosing Star Rail because at times it can feel really episodic. As things progress later on in the story, more and more things wrap together. But especially earlier on.
About Belobog was it felt like a pilot episode.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
Belobog felt really finished. I really liked that. Like it felt like, okay, we've got our loose ends tied up. Like there might be some NPCs we didn't talk to too much and didn't figure out like their deal, but like for the most part, it was like it's really easy, especially for like longer campaigns, to really like spiral out of control. Eventually, with just kind of like sort of like a narrative version of feature creep, just like all these different plot threads and stuff that doesn't really know where to stop with the momentum. And so it was really refreshing to play Belobog and have this like just this is an enclosed story. We got this story done. It felt kind of like playing a one-shot.
Yeah, except it was way larger than a one-shot.
Yeah, much longer. Like how many sessions was it? Like
I think it was
7...
like 7, 8-ish.
Yeah, 7-shot.
It almost made me a bit. Are we able to talk at all about the current campaign we're in?
We can talk little bits about it. Like, I mean, worst case scenario, again, I can just edit stuff out. But like, I will say the stuff with the Xianzhou right now is definitely feeling very scattered. But I'm trying to pull more and more things together to a concrete narrative.
Well, you know what?
That actually really... Oh, yeah?
That actually goes into a lot of what I was going to say, which was... So, when you first revealed that it was a different story, obviously there was the Genshin, cooties, whatever. But mainly the thing I was skeptical about was like, oh, damn, how much of this world wasn't original? And so on watching the video, I realized how much of it was improvised on the spot by you. And I also, it kind of came to me how much of the characterization of the world and things I loved about the campaign came from player interactions and your improvisations and our characters that I really liked. And I realized how unique it was because of that. Like, you know, I mean, an egregious example is how different Sampo was from in the game.
That definitely.
That's pretty unique to our campaign. But also, like, even like Seal and stuff, and these characters who I sort of felt like my character, Archon, built a personal relationship with. I realized that's something that doesn't exist in the game and was unique to our thing. So
yeah. I will be honest. I was just say, I will be totally honest. If I were just playing a video game and a character like Bronya showed up, I would not have been anywhere near as invested as compared to like Bronya when you like characterized her and had us. And also, I mean, a big part of it was also you had us like actually play as her and interact as her during the combat. But also just like the actual interactions we got to have with her. And of course, this all applies to Seal as well. Who's also a really interesting character during the campaign. Just see these interactions, their relationships to other people. It was really cool to see how you handled all that.
But then the reason I bring all that up is because in this current one, you know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I know you were saying this part of the story is a part that a lot of people don't like. And I know I was like slightly disappointed because I was hoping we were doing kind of a Planet of the Week kind of thing and that there was going to be another Belobog. But what I'm really enjoying right now is, even though I don't know the original story, I can tell that you're like improvising the hell out of it and having to make new characters and stuff. Like I've got suspicions which characters are made by you and which are from the game.
That is very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that because one of the things I liked so much about Belobog and appreciated more after watching the video was how much of it was actually unique to our playthrough. Even though it's not quite the direction I was expecting for the game, I'm still like really invested in what's going to happen next. Well, especially after our last session, which I won't get into obviously, but I'm really curious where this project is going to go because of that. because I can tell like there's
Yeah.
just such a dividing line between the canon and what's happening with just us, and it
No,
makes things
absolutely.
feel like unpredictable still.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely much more willing to go off the rails now as well because of a couple of things. First, when I just have more practice with hosting campaigns now because we had the entire Belobog thing, and I got chances to,
That was probably the longest campaign I've been in personally. So
yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is so self-contained because it's easy for tabletop RPGs campaigns to just like fizzle out, whereas that just kind of ended. Like we didn't really have to even do the Xianzhou if we didn't want to.
that was amazing that it had a real ending. Like
I think I have only been in like maybe 1 or 2 campaigns where there has been like an actual like proper ending to the plot, where it's like, okay, we could actually end the campaign here.
Let me say for the record, this dude's been in a shit ton of campaigns, so when he says that,
That's true.
I had a problem. I had a problem. There used to be a period of my life where I had like 5 sessions a week. It was an issue.
Oh my
it
god.
was a full-time job.
It was,
Jesus
it was
Christ.
bad. And also those games were pretty bad.
Were they all with
Some of them
different
were good.
groups or?
A lot of them were just ones I found online, and then I was like, wow, you know what? Finding groups online kind of sucks. And then I stopped doing that, and my life has significantly improved.
Dude, yeah, because I was a player in a Panic at the Dojo one while I was making the video, and I was like, I can't. Especially because it was a play-by-post format, and this game is really hard to do play-by-post, I realize. With how many reactions there are.
Play-by-post sounds horrible. I really would not want to play that. Oh my god, that's terrifying.
I think parts of it are nice because like you get to take as much time as you want to think about your actions and stuff, but it's so easy to forget about.
Yeah.
That's my thing, because I won't get into this project at all because it's a whole other thing, but I'm GMing a game right now that's very similar to Panic as like a tactical combat game in play-by-post, and oh my god, it takes so long to do like everything. And if there were more reaction turns in this game like in Panic, I don't even know how I would like accommodate that. So this is a game meant to be played in person.
Yeah, no, the way Panic can like stack reactions on top of reactions is like horrifying. I would not want to do that in a play-by-post.
Yeah, because
that being said, I really want to try Demon sometime.
It's tempting because like turns take so long in this, and I didn't mention it in the video, but well, actually, I think I only started doing this as we got into the Xianzhou, but we started implementing turn timers, which we aren't actually that great at always keeping the habit of.
We're like a physical kitchen timer with like a 1-minute warning.
Yeah. So we
and
run.
It's helped, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really helped. Yeah.
Because we've been doing about 9 minutes per turn with the 1-minute warning. So of course the initial timer is 8 minutes, and then we set a 1-minute timer. And then if you just don't get it in time, either we say you didn't get it because we were spending time on reactions and stuff, which isn't really the player's responsibility, or the active turn's participant responsibility, or we say like, all right, you gotta just hold that, and you don't get whatever end of turn effects or whatever else you didn't spend. Which happens pretty rarely because that's a big gun to point at someone. People would rather just finish up their turns in the last couple seconds. Which is the sort of mindset I want to enforce. Like, I'd rather have the game continue to move and players to be more likely to make mistakes. Because I think that just makes things more interesting. And it rewards players for, like, understanding their characters better and better.
And you know what I will say? Our combats in Panic, I've been in games in 5th edition where combat takes, like, as long. And man, you do not do a lot in 5th edition combat comparatively.
Yeah.
You do
oh my god.
so little. And somehow, I do not, in part, that's because there are, in, 5th edition games, there's usually a lot more players than just us two. Like, there's usually 4 or 5, but, like, man, with how little you do, turns still feel like they go on for so long in 5th edition. I do not get it.
Yeah, and part of that is like player influence and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, and to reel things back in for a moment, I think, like, yeah, there's a lot of original content even in Belobog, and the way that I like to think about this sort of format is I like to just think about it like it's a... whatchamacallit? They don't call them campaign, an adventure path, where, like, someone has, like, Curse of Strahd or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
like a module.
Yeah, like a module, that's what I'm thinking of, yeah. And so people will have this preset plot, but there's so many different things that can go off and be improvised and stuff. And part of the reason that I liked to do Star Rail, other than the fact that I got to introduce you all to a story that you absolutely would not have consumed before, but also because of the fact that it's a much wider JRPG, I have so much more knowledge to pull from. Like, most pre-written modules can only contain so much, because, like, you can only put so much in, right? As a writer.
Absolutely.
As a team of writers, even.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this is like Star Rail's been out for several years now, so there's just, like, a shit ton of backlog of lore that I could fall back on.
That's honestly really inspired me, because it made me start thinking of what universes I know well enough to try and do something like this with. And the main thing I thought of was Bionicle, because if you know me, you know I'm really into that.
Yeah.
And I actually even tried to start a Bionicle game a while ago. There's a tabletop.
Yeah, I remember that.
Probably say what it is. It's Red Star Games, Doronai Nui. And that just kind of fizzled out, as a lot of them do, just because life happened. But it's made me like look at that again and go like, man, it is really useful to have a whole universe to fall back on. Maybe I need to try that again.
Yeah. So what did you all think of the Astral Express? Because I know we had the funny smiling friends bit when you first met them. But, like, other than that, I mean, how I'll phrase this is, now that you've gotten to spend some more time with them, do you have any other impressions with them?
It's still a little bit hard to piece together, because I feel like we've spent time, but I don't know how many, like, outright character moments we've had with, like, Himiko and Walt.
Yeah, and Welt. Walter.
My brain.
Walter. Welt, I'm not giving you access to the orbital laser. That's me, Welt.
But yeah, no, I feel like we haven't got a lot of, like, real, like, character moments with either of the two yet. But I have really enjoyed having them on the team. And, like, as an organization, the Astral Express has been really interesting. Of, like, the kind of group we're a part of and the kind of groups we are connected to or opposed with. It's been interesting to consider, like, why, you know, my characters would be on the Express and why they would be doing this work with the Stellaron, and how we interact with these different, like, cultures and places, trying to, you know, help them, but ultimately still being, like, outsiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think realizing the scale of the Astral Express really clicked something for me, because I mean, kind of like how you said it in the video, I totally thought it was a Heroes Guild type of thing. And I thought there were tons of passengers on the Astral Express, and that we were just a few of them. And that I think that is kind of what gave it that Smiling Friends feel, because as much of a joke as it is, it does nail down a very specific vibe, which is like that workplace that's trying to be a family, but is still unable to shake the baggage that they're very much a workplace. I don't know, I think it's kind of shifting now from that to realizing that this is just a small group of people. Like, there's a very recent moment that I know you guys will know what I'm talking about, with Himiko and Archon that when I saw that, it really shifted from the boss being like, hey everybody, you ready to go on another adventure, to like, this is somebody who actually cares about another person's well-being. And I don't know, it did change the vibe a lot for me in a good way.
Yeah. Oh, and I totally separated from the thing I was talking about earlier. So, like, one of the reasons that I'm confident about going off the rails more is that, one, I have more experience as a GM, and two, it makes for a better second video. Because the initial narrative is like, they don't know this thing, but now you all know the thing. So now it's like I get to talk about what people... Because a lot of people were interested in, like, the changes that I had to make and the improvisations that I had to do. So I feel like a lot of those people are going to be interested in the much larger changes that I had to make for the Xianzhou. Because, well, I'll speak with the context that people who are watching this know the original story. So I mentioned this on stream before that I forgot to fucking capture the VOD of. Blade can't exist without Dan Heng, so... what the fuck do I do? And I made a new character, so that's really fun.
Yeah, I love that new character.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, that's
best.
Definitely one of the ones.
He's my boy. He's my goat.
It's the... Because a lot of the goal of the Xianzhou campaign is like, okay, now you all know this is part of a much larger universe. I have to introduce those things better. Because... the Stellaron Hunters are normally introduced in, like, the prologue, and, like, there's, like, a very weird relationship the original protagonist has with them that you all don't have. So I have to take the time out of the Xianzhou to kind of introduce them better. Oh, is another really important thing I forgot to mention in the podcast. As you may remember, a good half of the Xianzhou's plot is from Dan Heng's perspective. Splitting the party is pretty annoying in TTRPGs, but consider that I only have 2 players. So that means half of the time, assuming it's split evenly, one of the players isn't even playing the game. The solution to this was actually brought up by my players to a completely unrelated problem. They wanted to make new characters to experiment with new archetypes. Awesome! So now we have 4 PCs, and when I split the party, it's not to focus on a single player's character. They are Creek and Baron, and you can find more info on their designs by watching Pyrous Red's newest video. You can also find his take on Belobog's NPCs before he was shown their official design. Also, since the lore details on Baron are a bit lacking in that video, I will tease here that he has some interesting connections to the Path of Nihility, but everything else, you gotta go on his channel to watch the video and find out. On that note, I noticed... what are you all's thoughts on, like... we kind of mentioned this before, but what are you all thoughts on, like, the lore of Belobog in general? Like, can we take a bit of time to, like, talk about more details about that?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I liked it. It was nice, like, looking into the city's history. I feel like there might have been a little bit that it felt like there might have been a little bit too much going on, that it felt like we didn't really get to absorb the city as much. Like mainly just like the investigation segments felt a little bit short, and so it felt like we didn't get to get as much, at least like have as many moments to really reflect on the history. This is like a long time since I played it though, so that could be very different from what I felt when I was experiencing it. So
there were things that felt like that in the moment, but I feel like they did get kind of wrapped up. Like for me, the weakest link was probably Jeopard.
Yeah.
Jeopard. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Because and it makes sense now after seeing the video that that's somebody who's supposed to be introduced way earlier on, and so that felt a bit weird, but you did end up getting them in, and I feel like that kind of worked out.
Yeah. It's kind of like, whenever I run into those situations, I always have to ask myself, I'm like, okay, if people did not experience the initial thing, is it worth putting in the end part if there is no setup? And so, usually my answer is, it depends on how core it is to, like, the story's plot, or rather, it depends on how close it is to the main plot. Because I mentioned before, like, you all didn't meet Hook, so you all don't know who the fuck Hook is. Hook is, like, some kid that's, like, running around. She has, like, her own little kid pretend bandit group, and it's, like, a very wholesome character who is not at all fucking important to the story, so I skipped her entirely. Because... And part of this is looping back to what you mentioned, like, I feel like we didn't have that much time doing, like, investigative work and, like, world building and that sort of stuff, because I was always in the mindset of, okay, we have to keep the story moving. Like, I just want to keep going.
But yeah, no, I think in terms of, like lore stuff, or, like, just the lore of the city, I think we still got it through the, like, characters. Like, we got a lot of about the characters we learned, like that whole side quest with
Natasha?
Oh gosh, yeah, Natasha. The whole side quest with her was definitely, that felt extremely like a side quest. It
did, yeah.
Well, I mentioned in the video, it
is
a side quest in the game.
No, I just mean, like, you portrayed it in a way that was, like, it felt kind of like a one-off episode,
even within the campaign.
Larger series. Yeah,
it was a really good, like, aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked it, and it felt like it helped us learn more about. It even just helped, like, establish kind of the vibe of this place we were in, the tone and the atmosphere. But also, like, it helped us learn more about this character that was pretty involved, but that we didn't know a lot about, and it was nice.
Yeah. On that note, I also feel like it was really relevant for, like, pacing reasons, because we had just got done with the Session 3 5-hour-long hell encounter, and that gives me an opportunity to talk about, like, our experience with Panic at the Dojo as a system, and, like, what do we all think about it. Also, like, we get to talk about how we felt about the game constantly updating, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have, like, a couple different thoughts on it. Like, overall, I want to say I fucking love it. Like, it's one of my favorite, easily one of my favorite systems. I know I haven't been exposed to all that many, so that doesn't say as much, but, like, I really enjoy it as a system. I think it's genius. I will say it definitely caters to, like, min-maxers and stuff. Not min-maxers, but people who are, like, really willing to go delve into the rules and figure out exactly how to do things, and then sit there and think about the perfect turn they can take with what they're given. And I just don't play that way. I'm very rash. Kenga knows this. I play Darkest Dungeon like it's like a real-time game. Like,
I've watched it.
I make moves within a few seconds.
Insane.
You know what though? I've still beat Darkest Dungeon, so
That's true.
it happens eventually. I might not be as good, but I do it and I love it. And so I think it would be very cool sometime because you guys are both very, like, thoughtful about your turns. I think it would be very cool sometime to play a game where everyone is like me in that respect, and we all just go. I think that could be fun, but I wouldn't want it to be a game where just one of them is like you, because then they just win. So I'd say my two, like, ideal combinations for this game are either what we have right now or one where they're all like me. That being said, though, I really love this game, even though in some ways it feels like it's made for more thoughtful people than me. It also really caters to a lot of things that I like, because it is still a fast combat system. Like, it's very tight, and even though turns are longer, more things happen within a turn, and I love the sort of, like, dice resource management that's introduced by rolling before like doing your actions. And Kenga and I have talked about this. I feel like that should just honestly be the standard. Like, after playing that, I'm amazed that most tabletops have you roll to like see if you hit. Like this way it forces you to adapt to your situation. It forces you to strategize and actually think about what you're going to do with what you have. And so instead of just like planning around the possibility that what you're gonna do is going to fail, like XCOM style, you are getting your dice, you're seeing what you can do that turn, and you're like, how do I make something out of this and
absolutely
survive to the next turn? Which, no shade to XCOM, I love XCOM, but I don't want every game to be like XCOM, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of... So it's very interesting that you talk about the mindset that you have when you play tabletop RPGs, because I feel like a lot of the things that I do when I'm adding in Homebrew and stuff is I'm trying to move more in the direction that you play, because as nice as it is to play the game, the way that I like to think about it is like, there's the way that you're playing it right now, which I feel like is closer to like a standard tabletop RPG like D&D and stuff, where like you almost don't know entirely what's going to happen when you throw out your options. And then there's playing it like a card game, like Magic. And I have seen the extremes of the other end, which is cool and fun and it's designed well, but it is not for me either. Like, I like thinking about my turns, but like, I also want the game to fucking move on already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I'm absolutely not throwing shade at people who play that way, and there are plenty of people who play that way in the official Panic at the Dojo Discord server who are wonderful people. I know.
Disgusting.
I know. Corked left a lot of really nice comments on my video, and they're a total homie. As a random example, because like some of the ways that they play is they will create groups of characters that are specifically meant to like combine with one another, and I feel like that's like the most extreme end, because you get to make these characters that are optimized to be comboed together, which is fun and cool and lets you do some really crazy shit, but it's not how a standard tabletop RPG party would be combined, generally speaking. Like, you need like multiple power gamers all together. Like, people obviously want to reach out and hit certain niches and stuff, but it's not like, oh, like if I roll this win con, I can like do this thing and do a 6-up sing along and give you a 4, which you can spend on a specific action, which can then give you and me a resource, and then I can spend that resource on something like a bigger dice that would be good on, like, you know. Because playing support is very complicated in this game. You don't just sit back and heal people. And I know one of the most in-depth and like knowledgeable players, Val, is like planning on creating a really in-depth guide upon that, which I'm interested in seeing, because like Val thinks about this game in a very different perspective than I do, so I always like hearing what she says about the game. Let me move on to another question. Oh yeah, so the updates.
I think we should not have incorporated them over and over as they come out. I think we've made a ground rule for this one, right? That we're not updates until it's over.
Yeah, we are playing in beta 2e, and I think the projected release is sometime this month, which is nice because it's later in the month. May end up dipping into next month. We'll see what happens. But even if that comes out before we're done with the Xianzhou, we're waiting. We're still playing on beta 2e. We're still using... I mean, I've been tweaking my homebrew a little bit, but that's because some things are necessary, or else the game will be completely broken. Because, like, self-healing generated way too many super tokens, as a random example. I want to take this moment to talk about how ridiculous the mid-update thing was, because...
Yeah. It was an experience.
It was I know it was super frustrating for you two. For me, it was mostly just funny. I just thought it was fucking hilarious how horribly timed some of them were. If people were in the Discord server, before the video came out, you might remember an interaction that I had while we were preparing for the Xianzhou campaign. Archon underwent a major gameplay rework.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to
They
try out
removed my
Frantic.
bleeding style.
Yeah, they also
That's
they
dumb.
removed bleeding style, which I would say
Killed
is a
your
fair
swag.
decision. While we were undergoing the rework, transferring Archon from it was fused Angel Punk to a Frantic character.
Angel, Punk, War Dancer.
Yeah. The War Dancer style that you took was Forbidden style, which at that point in the game allowed you to basically combine any other form with like the base form that you'd put with that stance. And if that sounds familiar to people watching, that's because that's now a base mechanic that any character can have, the freestyle mechanic. That update released while we were making that character. No joke. Literally, I opened it, it was like, I saw like 10 minutes ago and we had been hosting this thing for like over an hour, and I'm just sitting there like, bruh.
That's what happens when you are like playing a game that's not only like active development, but like we're at a specific point in Panic at the Dojo where they're working on 2E and stuff, and there's like a lot going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the Xianzhou, we're doing beta 2E, trying as much Second Strike content as we can, because we've had to do a bunch of weird fiddles because Second Strike was going to be updated along with beta 2E, but then that kind of didn't happen. So then, like, all the updates are
It's
in
still
like
going
these.
to though, right? I'm not.
It's going to be updated to full 2E, not beta 2E.
Oh, okay. I'm really excited for 2E though, even though it's changing a
I'm excited
lot.
to see what they do
It's
with
changing a lot, and I think there's a lot of changes that are really good. So I'm
There's
just very
like
excited
a
to
couple
keep
I don't
playing with
like,
it.
but overall I think it's like worth it because I'm just yeah.
I think the
It's-
game
it's
is just
really cool how they're reconceptualizing some of the stuff.
yeah, and I think the game in general is becoming more organized, more readable.
Yes.
And
sure.
yeah, I would say it's less complicated because like there are only like 10 types of tokens now. There are still some things like I think it's I probably shouldn't talk about specific balance changes because I don't want to like pressure people to like go and harass Val and ask like, hey, why did you make this change that the YouTuber that I like said you didn't said they didn't like?
Yeah.
Especially
I've
because
been
like a lot of those
avoiding-
changes I can just change, and so I didn't. Anyways, let's talk about super tokens now.
But they have their own super system now though, don't they?
They do. I just didn't like it that much, so I used the super token. Now often
I don't have an opinion on it personally, but I just don't want to learn a new system yet. So
what it is
one, I want to see.
is because it's so simple. This is why I don't like it. Is you combined two dice. You can't use supers on the first round, and you combined two dice of the same value as long as it's 3 or higher to use the super, and then each side is like limited on how many supers they can use per round, depending on like the weight of the encounter. And I'm like, I just want to add in meter because then I have an additional resource that I can add other actions behind and give people unique things to do. Because if you just add a meter that only lets you do a super when it's full, like that's effectively a timer is what that is. It's a timer that builds up faster under certain conditions, and that's not very interesting. Yeah, I feel like this video was so much fun to make because I'm a game designer, and the perspective... GMing a game is game design. Just straight up. Like, the way that you have to adapt
is.
on the fly,
Yeah.
and especially if you're adding Homebrew, it's game design. It's the same thing. So it gives me an opportunity for me to talk about... It gives me the opportunity for me to talk about game design, like something that I actually want to continue to do for hopefully the rest of my life. And it's just really fun to talk about in general.
Yeah.
On that note, super tokens. Ooh. That's very fun.
it's pretty surprising that is a homebrew system because you handle it really well.
Yeah, I would say that it was a pretty good system, especially for one that was like improvised the way it was.
Yeah. It was, well, say it was improvised is a bit misleading because, like, I did spend several nights working on it because I was like, I really do want to make sure this works and is satisfying.
Yeah. Homebrew, I think, is a better term.
Your Honor, the explosive device was hardly improvised.
And yeah, I think there are still, in general, like, it's had to undergo a lot of different balance changes, even now, because, like, while we're not changing the base version of the game, I'm still tweaking that homebrew a lot in the Xianzhou campaign, because as I mentioned before, self-healing is really fucking strong with it, and form shift is also... people here haven't used it that much, but people in the Discord have discovered, like, wow, it is really fucking good. And sort of...
Oh, of, like, changing stances?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
5 meter cost,
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. There's some crazy stuff you can pull with that.
'Cause
I
if
definitely have only scratched the surface of it.
yeah, because, like, if you build a character around... Because you all... Super Meter wasn't even introduced initially, so you all didn't have the opportunity to build your characters
Yeah, we had
specifically
Super before
around
there
it.
was Super.
Yeah.
Oh, what you're saying? Yeah.
But, like, if you are building your character with the knowledge of how the super system works, then it's a very, very different experience. And that's part of why I like to withhold information, because... Well, okay.
Because it
For
allows...
for testing purposes, it's very, very good to know how players will think if they know of the system ahead of time and they get the opportunity to optimize it, right? To be very, very clear.
Yeah.
That's why I've been loving the feedback I've been getting. But also, if you are playing... Not everyone is a power gamer. Not everyone tries to optimize absolutely everything. Most people are like, I would say like me, where they try and get like a build that works, but they don't spend absolutely like tons of hours being all like, is this the best thing that I can have? Like, you just have a core idea and you're like, I think this is strong, and then you just build around it. And then depending on your knowledge, like, you might get more close to optimal because you will have like better instinctual knowledge of the system and better knowledge of like, I know these stances and these stance combinations are good, etc. But you know, it's limited to an extent. What else do I have in here? Oh yeah, so the big reveal, the funny original point of the video, even though it's not really about that. It's a kind of mostly just a clickbait to lead people in, because I allude to it a couple times, but for the most part, the narrative of the video wasn't, I'm hiding this thing from them, and they're searching desperately to figure it out. Like, no, it's just kind of like, they didn't know initially, and I talk about it a few times, about how the mindset changes. Really, it's just about running a campaign that is built off of a pre-existing story that's not a module, that wasn't built for tabletop RPGs specifically, and the type of adaptations you have to make.
Yeah,
so,
no, exactly.
What were you all's thoughts? I remember, Pyrous, you mentioned before, like, you had the initial, like, ooh, anime Genshin cooties, but, like, other than that, what have been your all's experience now that you've been kind of exposed to Star Rail in general, even if neither of you have played it?
It's alright.
Yeah. Conceptually, has a lot more, like, sort of more philosophical notions than I had initially thought. It's a lot headier than I thought as a game. And so I have a lot of respect for that, and it's really cool. I still doesn't seem really like my thing just as a game, you know. It's just not really, it's not hugely my style.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was still nice to like kind of get a look at what this game is, as this is something I never really looked too closely at, and to see like, oh wow, this is a good amount of depth in here, and a lot of like an interesting like take on the characters and stuff, and has a lot more. It's a lot more than I gave it credit for.
I definitely really appreciate the amount of influence it has from like esotericism and stuff. I mean, obviously it really got me into the mood for that because I was naming my guy Archon and all that. And that's just something that I really like personally. I still also don't think I'd really play it because just as a game, it doesn't seem like something I'm as interested in. Like, I'm interested in the story and I'm interested in Panic at the Dojo. So together, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm also more so interested in the creative project that is this campaign than just the story it's based off of. Because even
That's
though
true.
at times it's beat for beat, part of what I like is the collaborative effort that exists in any campaign, and also the characters that we've created. I'm really attached to those. So I don't know if I'm going to go out play HSR or Genshin anytime soon, but I definitely appreciate the story, and I'm glad I've had an opportunity to get it, because I'm not one of those people who really likes to watch a playthrough of a game they're not going to play and experience it that way. I think games like demand interactivity in order to be engaged with, right?
Mhm.
And which isn't to say like someone's experience with a game is like invalid if they haven't played it themselves, but I wouldn't feel fulfilled by that
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
didn't experience the
Mhm.
interactivity. And so this kind of feels like this impossible compromise that you don't usually get with games, where like I'm not playing the game itself because it's as a game not quite something that interests me, but I'm still interacting with the world, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was kind of the core point of the campaign, because like my idea wasn't that it was like a gotcha, like GOTC. Like I wasn't like, aha, I've tricked you into experiencing this thing you wouldn't have liked, but rather like, as it's rather like a showcase of, hey, I know you're not going to experience this thing, and that's perfectly fine. I think there are some parts of it that are interesting, and parts that I want to take for the sake of my own convenience of doing a tabletop RPG in general. So I figured I could kill two birds with one stone and just let you all be able to experience the story without the traditional way of experiencing it, while also making my life easier as a GM.
Yeah.
And I liked that because it also allowed me to experience the story without like preconceived notions. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm fairly open-minded, but also I mean I am open-minded, but it's a commitment to do a game like this. So I normally wouldn't have said yes to a game with a story that I think I'm gonna not like. Um, and so being able to just go into it kind of blind gave me a similar experience, I think, to just actually starting a new game
Yeah.
and not like knowing anything about it, which is something I like crave. Like one of my favorite game series of all time, Metro. I one day literally just had money and looked up what are some good story-based FPSs, and one was Metro, and I went and played that, and it like changed me forever. So I really enjoy being able to experience games that like I don't really know anything about going in, and it's hard to balance that with the amount of games there are, and trying to
Yeah.
not waste your times on games you're not going to come away from liking. So it was cool to just have the trust of like, all right, well, I know this is my friend who's going to run a campaign that I'm probably going to like. And yeah, so that was a cool thing.
Yeah. And I'm glad you two did like it, because, like, I feel like I'm leaning very heavily into the stuff that I enjoy as, I was gonna say as a storyteller, but really more as someone who would, as a story enjoyer, as an anime enthusiast.
Yeah.
So I was a bit worried, like, if I lean too heavily into these things, well, will these guys be, like, will they be turned off from the story, or, like, whatever? But, like...
I already kind of knew your interests going into it, so I don't think it was very...
Yeah, I
don't
figured
think
it was
very
going to
surprising
be...
on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and also
like
in
I
general,
said,
I don't think I
thought
leaned
you
too
were
much into it.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you did. I mean, like I said earlier, how I thought you were probably like referencing or taking some characters whole cloth from anime just because it's like a reference thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like prepared for that and was all right with that already. So kind of going into it not expecting an anime thing would be pretty dumb.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't mind anime. I mean, that's not what turns me off of Genshin or Honkai Star Rail. I do like some anime, so.
On the notes of like people's opinions on like anime and their own personal aesthetic influences, you've created arts of a lot of these characters before you knew their official design.
I sure did, and I plan to keep doing that actually with this next campaign, so I've been avoiding looking at them or looking them up.
Yeah. There have been, I mean, obviously they watched the videos, so they've seen little bits of the Stellaron Hunters, but I know you already had like a very solid internal image for Kafka already.
I did. I don't know where it came from, because as you described
your mind
again,
is where it came from.
Yeah. Well, as you described her again, I was like, oh, hold on, that's not at all what I was imagining. So I don't know, I think there's just, it's those initial vibes you get when you're introduced to a character.
Yeah.
During this time, like, I'm gonna take a moment to like show some of the art that you've made based off the campaign, because I know some people in the comments were asking about like, oh man, I'm really interested in seeing like your takes on the characters, and like I led some of them in the direction of, I know you've put them on your portfolio.
Yeah.
Want to mainly introduce like where's the main place that you put all your art?
So yeah, I'm most active on Instagram right now, but a lot of people, you know, aren't on there, which I really respect. I'd love to be one of those people, but that's where all my following is. So I'm Pyrous Red pretty much everywhere. That's where I post most actively, is on there, but I also have a portfolio on Kara, which is kind of my professional portfolio. And I'm also trying to be more active on my YouTube channel. I posted a speed draw of Archon on there, and I'm actually working on a speed draw right now. For all I know, it might be out by the time this video comes out, I'm not sure. Which is for the art fight event currently going on, but I'm also going to post some stuff related to this campaign. And yeah, I hope to, you know, keep posting characters related to this, because as it goes, you know, I get a lot of visual inspiration from what's going on that I want to share.
Yeah. And luckily, Pyrous Red is a unique enough name that I can just Google it and it just shows me a bunch of your links.
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing to note in terms of like marketing and stuff. Yeah, so one thing that has been kind of bothering me for a bit is that this has been the main campaign that I've been sinking all my time into, and it's only got you two as players, and that's cool, but like, man, I really wish we had at least one more. So I've been coming up with more ideas for campaigns, more ways to run them. I've mentioned this to you two before. I have another two friends that you two know on a first name basis that are also brothers when I think about it. Funny how that works. Who I've been doing like a hybrid of play-by-post, and like we've started to host some live combat stuff, like to be all like, hey, we're all online, we can just go and we can do this combat, and even if we don't finish the combat, it's fine, because it's low commitment, and people can inch forward and play-by-post if they want, or do their roleplay and play-by-post or whatever. And that's been really fun now that we've gotten a bit more momentum kicked into it. So I'm trying to think about ways of like consolidating the group a little bit more so we have more players and just a larger campaign to put everyone in. But also, I want this campaign to be like over, or at least in a good stopping place by that point, because if that becomes the new main campaign, then that means it's going to be hard to get back to this one, and I don't want to leave it on an anticlimactic note, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I have another world that I've been cooking up over time that I've been having a lot of fun with, but also I'm waiting for 2E to come out because I need to know all their mechanics to make adjustments and stuff.
We're all waiting for 2E to come out.
We're all waiting. And I don't know, we'll probably do another one of these once I'm done with the entire Xianzhou video, but that will be a while. I'm also planning on making a video remaking builds for all of the Belobog characters for Beta 2e, and it's again, Drake Full 2e's coming out soon, so that's in an awkward space, but whatever. And the most fun part about that is I'm trying to make custom supers for everyone, so it's definitely been delaying that process, but it's fun. Mm-hmm. I might end up streaming doing a couple of those, actually, depending on how I feel and depending on how many people are interested in watching streams of that. Because right now I do them in like very short bursts, so finding an excuse for me to be able to do it in more of a long session would be good. Just to have chat to talk with while I'm continuing to make them. I guess I could ask questions about like specific characters. People were talking about Seal and Branya before. Sampo obviously has a very specific bit going on with him. That is a little bit hard to talk about on YouTube, but it's fine. I'm glad people weren't...
it's really stupid how it kind of is self-perpetuating. Like it was one joke, but then you can't forget it because you just keep seeing it.
It was the fact that Branya woke up in the middle of the underground with Sampo probably just carrying her there and dropping her there for shits and giggles that I couldn't find an answer for. That cemented it. Like, it was just, we couldn't run away from it at that point.
You can't run away from Sampo.
No, don't phrase it like that. Oh, yeah, what do you all think of Cocolia?
I liked Cocolia so
Cocolia was
much.
Great. She was awesome. It was
so much, dude.
Yeah.
Cocolia was so sympathetic as a villain, and not in the usual like, oh, someone was mean to them way, but like in a, wow, it would really suck to be Cocolia kind of way.
Yes. Any situation where an antagonist is like, God, I absolutely get why you're doing this is so good.
Yeah.
That's great. No, she was a really cool villain. It was an interesting fight. She had a really, there were some really good moments during the fight, and just, yeah, as a character, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it, and I really liked interacting with her and kind of seeing that, like, I assume it's okay if we could talk spoilers about what happens in the Belobog story, right?
Belobog, you could go full hog, alright? Yeah. The assumption is you've already watched the video.
Yeah. So, it was really cool to have, like, Cocolia as just a character at the beginning, but then you look back at her lines later and like, oh yeah, she was definitely kind of under the Storm's influence. And yeah, no, she was just really fun and interesting.
And I mean, you kind of pointed out in the video how we kind of found her sus like a lot more organically than if it was just like, I am Cocolia, I am sus.
Yeah, I'm so glad that entire thing played out the way it did, because I cannot emphasize how much she literally just fucking turns to the camera and like talks to someone who is not there and is like, oh, so you're the bad guy. And the fact that I could save that outright reveal, just full out like, yeah, she's bad, to later just benefited the story so fucking much.
No, absolutely.
And it's something that I think is really good about being able to host these in the ways that I can, because I mentioned in the video, like, I didn't memorize her monologue because I'm not built like that. There was a lot of things that I didn't memorize. I explained to you two that the Stellarons are basically like radioactive vessels, because I totally fucking forgot all of them are linked to Aeons at first. So I had to go and I had to correct that knowledge later, because it is actually really important. I couldn't continue improvising the story in the same way without it. But because of the fact that I only had a general idea of the character, I could fill in the blanks wherever possible, because there were lots of times when you all went off the script that I didn't know because I didn't memorize that part of the script, and I'm just like, yep, we're just going, okay, yeah, we're just continuing to go, and I just don't even, like, react to it, we just keep going. And that's part of why, if you at home wants to do one of these, I can't imagine you'd be in a scenario where you'd want to do one of these and it's something that you don't know a lot of lore of. but you might be incentivized to overly research. But I don't think that's necessary. I think if you're confident in this thing that you like, just be confident with the thing that you like, especially if you're introducing it to people that don't already know, or if you're even doing the same thing that I'm doing and just not fucking telling them initially.
Yeah.
Then
No,
just
absolutely. I think
like you don't have to worry a whole lot about like, am I getting this character absolutely right? Like they don't fucking know, dude. Just run it.
yeah, and even beyond that, it's kind of nice that they're different. Like I think Pyrous said this earlier, and it resonated. Like if this was like a truly like a completely faithful rendition of like the story of Honkai Star Rail, I wouldn't be that interested. I wouldn't want to play
Yeah,
it.
it would be less impressive because it wouldn't have the same creative touch from like.
Yeah, it's so much more enjoyable knowing like this is a story that you care a lot about, and then you start adding like your own interpretations and your own improvising, and it
just makes it more personal because we're playing a TTRPG, right? Like we're trying to tell a story together. When I'm not just even if part of this is like I want the Trojan horse, this thing, so you all can appreciate something that you wouldn't normally appreciate, right? But I only need to do that so much. Like y'all get the parts of Star Rail that you would have liked, and now we can just do our own thing.
And you know, I think the parts that we really appreciate, getting that appreciation, is seeing like how you feel about the story and your interpretation and your take on it. And I think what's really cool about using this pre-existing story is it's like seeing someone work with a setting that they made themselves, because you seem really pretty comfortable in the plot of this story and in the plot of this game and of the setting. And so when there's improvising and when there's like things going off the rails, you can see, you know, the bigger picture that you're working with, and can make some really cool improvising that might be harder to do if you're like building a setting as you're playing the game.
Yeah, and that's I mentioned this again and again, but like that's kind of the reason that I did this the way that it did, because it's exhausting to have to do things that way.
No, absolutely.
Some people are very used to it, and like absolutely hats off to them, like they're fucking awesome. But like there's no shame in just saying like, okay, I'm just gonna use this thing. I feel like a lot of people, there's like a running joke amongst D&D people, you know, usually D&D people because that's the most popular TTRPG community, where it's like, oh, my campaign is just secretly all of my little hyperfixations that I fused into each other. And like there is like a bit of shame when people point that out. Or like when like their players point out, they're like, no, don't put it out, I'm a fraud or whatever. Like you don't have to be ashamed about it.
Yeah.
Which is why,
man, it's not like you're publishing it.
Yeah, like which is why I go whole hog and I'm just like, fuck it, it's just the story, it's just the characters. Like I'm just putting them in because I'd rather be honest about like this is not a character that I created than being like reskinned and like kind of being all like, oh, it's based on a thing, but there's not really that many changes to them. Although I do also see like a lot of people have that pressure of like if they put the character in wholesale, if your players are familiar with them, you might have a different interpretation, so they may act a little bit like a character or whatever. That's a reason for you to like change things up. I fully support that. And like, I fully support if people just genuinely are like too nervous to admit certain parts of that. But I also fully support like it's okay. Like you could totally say like you could totally turn your teenager AO3 fic into a tabletop RPG campaign. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
I watched Indie Cross, bro. That shit was awesome. I don't know if either of you have watched that. That series is... Oh my god.
I have not seen it, but I immediately get the vibe of what you're talking about.
Indie Cross... I love it. We won't talk about it because I don't want to...
If you get talking about that, I'm going to start talking about it faster than light web series, so we got to stay.
Yeah. We got to stay on track. Even if I do really want to watch Indie Cross.
I know the fucking web series you're talking about. You tried to get me to watch it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of there is kind of I think for a long time, and it's still kind of prevalent. There's kind of a shame around like fan fiction. And I think that kind of led to like the idea of like working with a media that isn't yours is like yeah, it's not publishable or it's not professional, but like that doesn't mean it can't be enjoyable or good by any means. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean, and certainly it doesn't mean it's less creatively satisfying in any way. Like it's absolutely, it's not something I really do. I struggle to like work with other media when I'm like creating an actual like story. I struggle to kind of make my own stuff in that field, but like I know great writers who absolutely love writing fan fiction and work with that, and it's just because it's a medium that it gives them so many like working parts from the get-go to mess around with, and there's a very real appeal.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not going to get like political here, I promise. But we also I think everyone, regardless of your disposition, has kind of a tendency to conflate like what you are like allowed to do with what is like right. And we're in a really bad time for like copyright and restrictive type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh
And
yeah.
what we're kind of forgetting is how important recombinant art has just always been. I mean, the basis of like hip hop, for example, really big genre now, was recombinant art and putting together samples and stuff. And so when you look at things like, fan fiction or whatever, and you look at them through the lens of, is this a valid product? Would I get in trouble if I tried to make money or profit off of this? Is this getting in the way of someone else's profit? Even if you're not like putting it like that in your head, that's kind of what you're doing when you get into the like too far into the weeds of the originality debate. Like originality is important, but it doesn't mean not using anything from your surroundings. And so, obviously like this campaign was a big example of like more remixing than like taking bits of something and making something new. But I would say that any pushback to recombinant art can kind of get in the way of your enjoyment of things like this, where you're taking things that already exist and finding new ways to enjoy them.
Yeah. And there is this sort of there's this thing that writers say that is meant to be endearing, or is meant to be like sort of accepting, which is a lot of them, they'll say like, oh yeah, it's completely fine to write fan fiction if you're starting out. And there's this kind of implication that like you might start by writing fan fiction, but you'll like graduate to writing more original stuff. But like that's not an obligation. Like, when you get to a certain skill level, it's not like you're like, I'm gonna stop writing fanfiction. I mean, maybe you literally don't have the time and you're a professional writer, but like, very little people actually get to that point in their lives. So just like, it doesn't matter if you've like already written, even as an extreme example, like already written and published several books. If you still want to write some fanfiction and you have the time to do it, just fucking do it, dude. Like, there's no shame in that.
Do what you like, man.
Yeah.
Creating's like one of the most important things you can do as a human, and one of the most important things about doing it is enjoying doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm of the opinion that like I don't think people like need to create in regards to like art and stuff. Like, you could have a perfectly meaningful life without that sort of stuff. Like, I don't mean to, because some artists go too far in that direction. They're like, you can't just be a consumer. Like, you need to like do your own stuff. Like, don't just consume or whatever. And it's just like, it's fine. Like, if you're happy with your life, like genuinely, and you're not like, I feel like there's something like within me that needs to be released. Like, if you don't have that feeling, it's cool, man. You can just chill out. As long as you're contributing to society in some way, As long as your other people are happy around you and you're happy around others.
Casual creation is something that I think gets a bit lost in a time when everybody's trying to kind of influence.
No, absolutely.
Where like, that's the thing. You don't need to become an artist or anything. or self-identify as one, or like learn an entire craft, but one of the most important things to make sure is available to everyone is the ability to just casually create, just to do napkin doodles.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, fan fiction can be good for that. Like, I mean, you can, or just any kind of, I don't know how this got specifically into fan fiction, because I am also just talking more about like campaigns that involve things that already exist and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're like literally playing a game with your friends, that's a great opportunity to casually create, even if you don't consider yourself a creative. And a lot of times if you're doing something casually, you don't want to put in the incredible sunk cost of making like a million different characters and places and stuff that only one path will be taken by your players.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just like, yeah.
I mean, I want to do that, but that's because I'm insane.
Yeah.
You get it, brother.
Absolutely. Like, there are tons of people who do that, and it's not like you don't have to hold their opinion of, you don't have to hold their standards to your own. Like, they just do that because that's just what they like doing. And if you try to do that, and if you don't like doing it anymore, then just tone it down and just try it a different way and figure out your own way to do it. Because, like, the reason that I mentioned that thing about, like, you don't have to be a creative is, like, some people get really into, like, especially if you show interest in learning a creative medium, people will want to help you. But sometimes it's just not fun for you, right? Like, I have tried learning drawing over and over and over again, and I think it's kind of fun, but, like, the difference between that and the amount of fun I have say, like, creating these videos or doing writing is, like, the difference is night and day. Which is why, as much as I want to be like, oh, like, I wanna continue to learn drawing because, like, it's a useful skill set and all that type of stuff, like, what matters is that I'm just having fun doing it. So, like, I'll go back and I'll do some drawing every once in a while because I'll be in the mood for it. But that'll be pretty rare, and there's no shame in having a hobby that's like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and tabletops, I think we're in a good time for people wanting to just create for fun. I mean, even on, like, obviously on the more professional level, I see tons of people on, like, Instagram and stuff who are, like, legitimately, like, kids, like 15 and stuff, and they're, like, crazy painters, like, things I still aspire to. And I don't know how, like, they do that. That's insane, and I would never try to hold myself to that standard, because that would be a exercise in it would be futile. But we also have so many outlets now for people who, if you're not like that, if you just want to create casually, tabletops are so popular now, fan fiction is so popular now, and I really love that we're in a time where you've got, like, kids becoming amazing painters, and for everyone else you've got just creation games that you can get that outlet with. I think we're in a really good time in history for that.
Yeah, because I think with the implementation of social media, it's very easy for you to compare yourself to others and being all like, oh no, because my thing isn't as good as this thing. But really, like, if I learned anything about publishing this video specifically, a lot of what makes something work is just, like, timing and preparation, and just having, like, a general idea of, like, this seems like something that people would click on. Like, I knew going into this entire campaign from just watching so many fucking YouTube videos, this is a YouTube video that people would click on. So then I hosted the campaign, and then I spent fucking 8 months on the video, and then I published the video right when the Euphoria story patch came out, and people watched it. And it's easy for me to, like, go and look at that video and be like, oh, like, it got 10k views, but, like, look at these people got, like, 20, 30k. Like, that doesn't matter. The point is that some people watched it, and I'm getting good feedback. The point is that people enjoyed it.
Huge. I don't think thousands of people have
viewed
anything I've made. So.
Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, it's easy for people to abstract those numbers so quickly, because you can't visualize 10,000 fucking people. So because of that, you just abstract it, and then you see, like, the huge difference in the abstract number. But, like, in the comments that people leave, I feel that, you know, I feel just the overwhelmingly positive reception I've gotten. And even, like, if I have quote-unquote only 1K subscribers, bro, that's 1,000 fucking people.
Off of one video.
Off of one video. And so many people in the comments are like, dude, you deserve, like, even more. And, like, this idea that... Because people can make... No disrespect to people who release videos constantly, because, like, YouTube is very much programmed in that way, and make quote-unquote, like, lower effort content. Because I'm of the opinion that good art doesn't necessarily come from the amount of work put into it. Like,
Absolutely,
I love Star's classic TF2 videos, and those are just, like, the most basic bare-bones editings ever. But it's just, like, fucking Star and Germa just dicking around on TF2. Like, I still quote some of those videos to this day. Right? And it's easy for people who don't watch that sort of stuff and go, like, oh, like, it's just, like, slop content or whatever. But, like, there are people who will grow up and make inside jokes off of what people might consider to be, like, low-effort content.
And we don't really measure any other craft that way through the amount of effort put into it, validating it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's entire fields like engineering where less effort is the point. And that's not to say that you should, like, remove all the effort from art, but it does mean that, like, you can't fully, like, I don't know, rate something based on how difficult it was to do.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially to people who make long edited video, like people who make this sort of long edited video content, it's easy for them to get into this loop where they're like, oh, like, I made this big thing and it's, like, even bigger than the last thing, and, like, I don't know if I can get larger, and, like, I didn't even receive more views on this than the other thing, or, like, whatever. Like, what just matters is that you're having fun and you have this audience that'll watch the stuff that you put out. And, like, the fact that I am getting people in the comments saying, you deserve more, gives me the impression that they liked this video so much that they want more people to see it. And irregardless of if I had 100 people, or 1,000, or even, like, in this case, like 10,000, or like fucking 5, like, even if it got to a whopping, like, 100K, the fact that people watched this and liked it so much that they're like, I want to send this to my friends who like this similar thing, that's the point. That's the real goal of creating something. And I want to I want to mention this both to myself and, you know, to my future self who might go back and be watching this, and to other people who might be interested in creating, who might get demoralized really quickly. The point is never about the numbers. The point is about how people react to your video and how much they like it. It's not about the numbers, it's not about how much... It's not necessarily about how much effort you put in. Obviously, I put so much effort into this video because I wanted to. And that's why the people who get into the loops that they do continue to do so, because they want to make a video that's quote-unquote better and better, because they have their own standards that they want to reach, because that's what they think is fun. They think it's fun to make a video that they consider to be better and better each time. But, like, people don't necessarily have to do that. So, like, don't feel like you have to hold up to your own massive standards, because some people could very quickly balloon those. Because at the end of the day, if you're creating content that's good, people will react to it by saying, this was really good, I hope more people see it. And if you've done that, you've succeeded.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I think that's a pretty good spot to end on. Are there any final things that you two want to say?
I was actually drawing the whole time I did this. I'm sorry. I wasn't getting distracted. I'm just...
No, yeah, I mean,
need something to do
absolutely.
with my hands.
What were you doing something related to?
No, it's a commission that I was doing to get RimWorld Odyssey. Like, I was doing a trade.
Oh, okay.
But then my sugar daddy, Luplux, got RimWorld Odyssey. So I guess I'm just doing it for cash now or for funsy.
Alright.
I don't know.
Hell yeah. Alright, what about you, Kenga?
No, I don't think I have anything more to say. No, just Yeah.
All right. Well, all I'll say is, first of all, thank you so much for watching both the original video and this one. And also, if you're at all interested in seeing more of the in-depth process of like the custom art that was created for this, like absolutely check out my boy here, Pyrous.
Oh yeah, hit me up.
Because I mean, you're a great artist, man.
Thank you.
I want more people to notice you.
Hey, I do too. We can agree on that.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And yeah, with that, I hope you all have a fantastic day.
See you around, guys.
See ya, nerds.